Welcome in to another edition of the PHNX D-Backs podcast right here in Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. Of course, welcome in to the PHNX D-Backs podcast. We are also presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app and use code PHNX365 when you sign up. Choose your offer and find out why it is never ordinary at Bet365. Welcome in. Of course, my name is Derek Montilla, occasionally known as your mayor of PHNX. This man next to me is occasionally known as the people's producer himself. It's Damon Dog. When do we start using your actual last name?
I don't know. I mean, that's just kind of
Has that ever been uttered on any show? I don't feel like I should just
Craig Morgan is like the only person who calls me by my last name.
Okay. I didn't want to dox you like that.
And doesn't that feel on brand for Craig Morgan?
It really does, yeah. That he would go out and put information in the streets that maybe he didn't approve of you because he just investigated it.
I don't care at all. My last name is Farrell. That's you know.
But I mean, Farrell goes so well with dog, right? Farrell dog. It's not spelled the same way, but it could still mean the same thing. Of course, welcome into all of you. Of course, welcome in to our new producer, Kevin Thomas. What's up, Kevin? Happy to have you here with us. Of course, I have to give a shout out, even though this is making things far more complicated on him than probably need be. But welcome to the show, man. We are thrilled to have you here at PHNX.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Are you a Diamondbacks fan? That's the first question I have to ask you.
Well, I'm from St. Louis. So.
Okay, so get out. Shane, you can go ahead and take over on the show.
Shane's here.
That was the end of Kevin's time on the PHNX D-Backs podcast.
Shane's a Mariners fan.
Yeah, that's true. No, that's right.
Just got fired.
I know. I'm sorry. My condolences. Probably deserved it, though, with the way that team has been playing. I know a lot of you have been coming for Torey Lovullo's head, by the way. So, of course, that's not on the table with the way this team is playing. But the Diamondbacks do kind of run the gauntlet here coming up. We've talked a little bit about how difficult their schedule is going forward. It's the reason why, even though neither one of these series against the Marlins or the Tampa Bay Rays were actual must-wins, they were kind of must-wins, right? Yeah. Like, it's about stacking those wins against teams that have no business beating you when you're on the roll the Diamondbacks are. And, of course, that does not count for the Tropicana, of course. But, of course, the Diamondbacks did take care of business against the Marlins, sweeping the Fishes by 3 games. And now they have 10 games in a row against teams with a record above 500. We're going to preview the series here with the Red Sox shortly in a little bit. But there's a lot of tough games ahead. It's not just these teams that they have ahead of them right now on the schedule. They also still have 2 more series with the Giants, 2 more series with the Brewers, both of which, like, they don't concern me a whole lot, but they're just, again, those are those teams that kind of can all of a sudden hand you some losses at a very, important time.
Yeah, I'm looking at the remaining schedule here. You didn't even mention the Astros,
who are
I don't want to, very hot.
Yeah, they're very hot right now.
And are a really good baseball team. And at this point in the season, in September, you do not want to play the Houston Astros.
No, you're right.
So,
you're right.
Yeah, it's pretty tough schedule down the stretch outside of this one Rockies series that I'm looking at.
At least they have that one.
The Rangers stink. Yeah, but they do. Also, I take them pretty seriously. I'm not going to lie to you because I kind of feel like they own us a little bit.
They do. They do. Well, and I mean, they did beat us in like a very important series last year. I'm not sure if you were familiar.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I scrubbed that from my memory.
Total recall there. I will say this, speaking of which, we do have an upcoming takeover event when they play the Rangers. That's going to be a lot of fun. That's on September 10th. And a great part about that is we're going to have a pregame meetup at the Desmond with food and the whole nine. So make sure, check out gophnx.com, grab your tickets for that. If you're interested in watching them come beat the tar out of the Rangers and get a little bit of revenge for what happened in the World Series last year. But I mean, again, this trip, like I said, Jesse and I have had this conversation. You and I have had this conversation where we talk about how, that's a little bit of a daunting schedule ahead for this Diamondbacks team. So far this season, they've answered the call whenever we've said that this is a test or this is a proving, kind of proving ground for them.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like the tough teams on the schedule necessarily impact the Diamondbacks' ability to go out there and win baseball games. At least recently since they've started playing better baseball. Like that Guardians Phillies stretch really felt like pretty daunting.
Yeah, that was it. That was like where it felt like you were going to go and get, potentially swept by one of those teams, maybe both of those teams. You just didn't really like it. The way things were going, it wasn't like the Diamondbacks weren't winning series coming into that stretch, but they would just have that one loss that kept them from obtaining a sweep, sweeping the Pirates, keeping from sweeping the Cubs. It was just that one loss that kind of a lot of times in the finale that let you down a little bit. It didn't leave you feeling that high that you would feel or that you should feel after they won a series.
Sean says it in the chat here. These teams have to play us, and we talked about it on yesterday's post-game show.
I got pretty tough.
Yeah, where it's like,
I got pretty tough.
Why should we be scared of these teams at this point?
No,
because we're the hottest team in baseball since the All-Star break. They're looking at us on their schedule realistically and going, I don't want to play the Diamondbacks with the way that they're playing baseball right now. So it works both ways, really. And I'm pretty excited to watch them play. These, especially Red Sox, Mets. Like, I think those are good tests for this team.
I agree. The Mets are playing really good baseball. The Red Sox are playing good as well. It's just a tough AL East over there that they're competing in.
Yeah.
And of course, it's also Fenway, so there's some history there. Diamondbacks, though, they played very well at Wrigley, and Fenway should be no different. But let's take a look at the Major League Baseball standings so far, because the Diamondbacks did make up some ground yesterday. The Padres lost. They didn't make up any ground on the Dodgers, who continue to win. But the D-backs pull even with the Padres. They both have a record of 72 and 56 there. Braves still hanging in there. The Diamondbacks right now have a 4-game lead over the Braves and then a 5.5-game lead over the next team out of the hunt, which is the New York Mets at 66 and 61. Pretty much after that, the Giants are on the bubble there, but the Giants really are on the cusp of being out of it. I feel like if you are below 500 at this point, it's going to be really hard to catch up to the rest of these teams, especially if you don't play very many of these teams, and give yourself a chance to make up that ground.
I'm willing to put it out on the line here and say I'm calling the Giants and Cardinals cooked. No chance.
Yeah.
No chance. It's over. This is a 4-team race for 3 spots, Derek.
It really is. And it's interesting because the maneuvering there that could take place towards the end of the season might not, like if the Diamondbacks lose some games, it might not be the worst thing. It's another thing that we brought up yesterday. But honestly, at this point, don't you really want to end up in that final wild card spot instead of playing the San Diego Padres, even if it's at home?
Yes.
Right? Like, don't you want that?
Yes.
And you especially don't want to play the Padres in San Diego.
Anyone that's saying they'd rather play the Padres than the Brewers is a crazy person.
Insane.
Yeah.
It's insane.
The level of top-end talent on those two teams is just incredibly different.
Right.
And the Brewers lost Yelich for the season, so they lost their best hitter.
Yeah, but they
don't have a good pitching staff.
They have Jackson Churio, who's been damn good.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they don't have good players on their team. They have a good record. They're about as good of a record as we have currently, but I'm not like, they don't strike any fear into my heart.
Yeah.
Whereas like if the Padres get some players back and playing well on top of Jackson Merrill and Jurickson Profar doing what they've been doing all this season, that's a scary team to play against.
It's wild that those are the two guys leading the way for them.
It is nuts.
You know what I mean? And on a team that has Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis Jr. and all these
Xander
other
Bogaerts.
Bogaerts,
those guys have been pretty underwhelming or just non-existent this season.
Yeah.
And then you have like
Jackson Merrill,
who's just like a rookie, and he might even beat Paul fucking Skeens for the Rookie of the Year award. So
Jesse was literally talking about, we were joking about the Padres being down in a game, and Jesse said, I wouldn't be surprised if Jackson Merrill hit a 7-run home run. And that's Jesse saying that. So you've completely lost Jesse when it comes to him being in touch with reality when it comes to that Padres team. So, again, it's something to keep in mind, right? I know we're going to have a lot of fun chasing the Dodgers down here, seeing if my prediction is right, if the Diamondbacks can somehow be on top in the NL West. But it really is going to come down to, to a degree, is that the best thing for them? And I don't know if it is. The Diamondbacks could use some time off, but the time off could be detrimental. You can say whatever you want to about it, right? Like, you could really say that that's loser talk. You can say that there's no reason why a team having time off shouldn't be able to stay sharp, but I don't know. There is something to it. And
Yoshi's right, though. That's a damn fact.
One seed?
This is the 1 seed. I mean, it's on the line.
Yeah.
We're not out of this race.
No,
like,
we're really not.
Look at the standings here. We're 4 games back from the Dodgers.
Yeah, let's put the standings back up there, Kevin.
I mean, I'm not convinced that we're out of this race for the division.
Not at all. Not at all. Especially with 4 games coming up against
you
the
win
Dodgers.
3 of those.
I just
Derek.
I don't know.
Oh, baby.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I like the idea that baseball is a sport that when you take a layoff in any way, we've talked about it with injuries, we've talked about it with the All-Star break. You just have this weird thing happen where it takes a matter of time to get ramped back up to being able to play. And I don't know. I mean, again, loser talk is what it is. But I will just say that the Diamondbacks just need to get into the playoffs at this point. Of course, a big part of that is what are they going to do with this starting rotation? We saw Jordan Montgomery have a rough day yesterday against the Marlins, and that's not a team you should really be having a rough day against, right? At this point, Jordan Montgomery is not only giving up a lot of runs, but luckily he's getting a lot of runs in his start in support. The Diamondbacks are averaging over 6.5 runs per game that Jordan Montgomery starts. So
it's weird how there's guys like that, right? Every year that it feels like, but then, Brandon Pfaadt, there's always guys that are the opposite, where it felt like, Brandon Pfaadt would go out there and throw a 3-hit gem, but he'd lose because the Diamondbacks got shut out in that game.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
he loses 2-1 or something like that.
Meanwhile, Zach Davies last season was giving up, had an ERA of 8, and the offense was just insane whenever Zach Davies would pitch. I wonder if there's like some sort of mental thing that really goes on there with the lineup where they're like, hey, Monty's on the bump today, means we're going to have to score a lot to win this game.
Well, and you would think with the way that pressure kind of made them struggle early on that would make the opposite happen.
Yeah.
But instead, they're just like, got to pick up our guy, I guess. And I don't know. The Diamondbacks have been putting up these runs in these games like this. So it's just odd that, of course, Jordan Montgomery gets that run support when other guys could definitely need it. But, I mean, as it stands right now, looking ahead, we have to ask if the Diamondbacks do just continue with the 6-man rotation, or if they should continue with the 6-man rotation. The way it stacks up right now, the Diamondbacks, Pfaadt and Montgomery would have 5 more starts before the end of the year, essentially. Gallen, Kelly, and Erod and Nelly would all get 6, with Nelson starting on Friday against the Boston Red Sox. So, I mean, there's the idea that this is going to keep your starting rotation a bit fresher. And, of course, they did say that they were going to do this one more time through the rotation. It didn't sound like they were going to do it until the end of the year, but we know that they lie to us all the time. So
numbers don't lie, though.
The numbers don't lie. Torey Lovullo definitely lies to us.
And the numbers tell us that Jordan Montgomery stinks at baseball.
Well, the numbers also tell us that they're invested basically $50 million in Jordan Montgomery over the next 2 seasons at this point. So
that is also true.
I mean, I don't know. I'll tell you, it's not even he might be a problem, but the Diamondbacks have other issues in their starting rotation, including the way Zach Gallen has been pitching lately.
Yeah.
Of course, Jesse had a wonderful piece on what he feels is wrong lately with Zach Gallen and how he can get things back right. So make sure to check that out. But I mean, yeah, Elise says a 6-man rotation makes the bullpen feel less fresh. Yeah, I mean, that's part of it too. I mean, I don't know, because I will say that it feels the inevitable decision is still going to come down to Jordan Montgomery being in the rotation over Ryne Nelson, which is just absolutely crazy.
It just goes back to what Jesse has been talking about for a while, though, which is like on a playoff roster, what does Jordan Montgomery bring to the table?
Yeah.
You're not going to start him.
Right.
You're not going to bring him out of the bullpen unless you're down like 6 runs or something, right?
Yeah.
I just feel like, I mean, he pretty much is just going to be there if he's on the playoff roster. And so it begs the question, like, should he even be on the playoff roster? Because you could maybe bring in an arm who could be somewhat useful, or Ryne Nelson out of the bullpen. He'd be, I think, significantly better, or a Slade Ciccone or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
It's going to be interesting to see, but at this point, the Diamondbacks need to get there, right? And that's a big reason why I'm sure we won't see any kind of change here when it comes to that. That contract, unfortunately, does have an impact and is going to have an impact on what the Diamondbacks do with him in the future. Josh Huntstar, if you scroll back up there a little bit, Kevin, he had a good comment. He said, in any other field of work, oh, you passed it. Huntstar 05 right there. He said, in any other field of work, it would be extremely infuriating if someone got a job or opportunity over someone else because they got paid more. Ryne Nelson has earned that 5th spot, and that's absolutely the truth. Like in most fields, that actually kind of works the opposite. Usually when you get paid more, that's when they're, go part ways with you. But
no doubt,
contracts work differently in sports. I just think that, again, the Diamondbacks have at least proven to fans, proven to the players on the team that they do not necessarily make these decisions based on the finances. They go with the guy that's going to help them win, especially when, if you look at the way that things are going for this team, they have a legitimate chance to be a World Series contender this year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you could argue against that, right?
No,
a team that was in the World Series last year that's arguably gotten better since. Like, I mean, you look at the holes on last year's team, I think you're better at third base. With ADC, you're better at backup catcher. You're better at DH.
Yeah.
Like, all of those spots have improved. Hypothetically, your back end of your rotation is better as well because, Brandon Pfaadt's been significantly better than he was last season. Through the regular season, at least, he was insane in the playoffs, obviously. Yeah. And then Ryne Nelson's been a lot better. So I don't see how you could argue that this team is not a World Series contender. I mean, they have what it takes. I said this last year, but like when you have the top end starting pitchers, and then you have a team that is top to bottom in that lineup, pretty consistent, right? Like you have your back end of your lineup guys are probably some of the best back end of your lineup guys in all of baseball, I would argue. Yeah. And it really just comes down to, can Zach and Merrill get it under control? Can they get back to what they were last season? Because if they can, I don't see any reason that this team can't go as far as they did last year and hopefully win it.
Tiger Town says, Erod being healthy for you guys helps. He was awesome.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're getting glimpses of that. Again, the other day, Erod wasn't exactly efficient, but he was effective. Jesse hates that joke. Look, I can't stop talking about it. That's gross. It's like I miss him or something.
Yeah.
I'm just concerned he's not drinking enough water, to be honest. That's the real problem here. But
I don't even care about him.
No, not even a little bit. You didn't just come in here and ask me if he's okay the first. Did he make it to Canada okay? But Erod, of course, I mean, that's the secret weapon right now for this team, to be honest. He is a guy that has looked fairly sharp. It feels like he's getting a little bit stronger with each outing. And, of course, we really don't know what to expect out of Erod so far. I mean, so far he's been good, and so far he has been kind of as advertised. There's nothing extraordinarily flashy there about him, but he is definitely not one of the guys in the starting rotation right now that there are concerns about. He seems to be a pretty good lock. Like maybe he is, obviously there's some concern about how deep into games he's going, but he will build as he gets, goes through this season and as we get closer to the postseason.
I was concerned about him a little bit, but I think the way Torrey spoke about him when like he was about to come back, and when you guys were talking to him,
you meant concerned before he came back.
Yeah, for sure.
I think we all were.
Yeah, but Torrey, I think Torrey kind of pushed those expectations up a little bit when he was like, he looks fantastic. I don't know if he threw a ball in his bullpen session that he worked the other day. So like,
exactly.
I think the Diamondbacks are pretty confident that this version of Eduardo Rodriguez is here to stay. Like they think that he's this is sustainable and that this is a guy that they can rely on for the rest of the season, which if they feel that way, it inspires some confidence in me, no doubt.
It's just wild that here we are looking at a Diamondback 6-man rotation, and the people we are concerned about in the 6-man rotation are Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, and Jordan Montgomery, not Ryne Nelson, Brandon Pfaadt, or Eduardo Rodriguez. That's not something you would have imagined after the way that those particular individuals pitched in the postseason last year, but baseball's a fickle bitch, right?
Yeah. Piece of Yoshi making fun of the Orioles picking up Emmanuel Rivera. Isn't that the same guy who's like a Jace Peterson and Pavin Smith stan?
You mean we Stanuel Rivera? Like, let's not forget what that man did for us for a stretch.
Where does the barometer?
Yeah.
Where do you?
Jace Peterson's
when do you
biggest
stop,
fan?
You start liking shitty players, but then hate other ones. Like, I thought that this was a thing where you liked all of them. Yeah. I'm confused now.
Yeah. Well. Anyway. At least we didn't have no slandering Pavin Smith. We know that on this show, of course. Well, we're just excited for the postseason. We're excited to get back to some very, very exciting games happening at Chase Field. However, unfortunately, we won't have one of those very exciting baseball games that we were looking forward to happening here at Chase Field because the schedule for the 2026 World Baseball Classic was released, and Damon, they stole it from us. They took it away. And they're not even rotating it like to different parks. I mean, they are because they're going to have it in Houston at Minute Maid Park instead of here at Chase Field. But what infuriates me is it's still in Miami. And everything's in Miami. They're having the quarterfinals in Miami, the semifinals, and the finals all at Lone Depot Park.
It is a mistake to not have Team Mexico play in Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh, without a doubt.
That is the most electric baseball environment you could possibly conjure up. Last year watching, like, it made me want to like be a Mexico fan. You're watching Randy Arozarena go out there.
You want an Alec Thomas Team Mexico jersey?
Randy Arozarena and Alec Thomas just repping Mexico when they're from the U.S. and Cuba, and just and then the fans just losing it, like wearing ponchos and sombreros and stuff. It's just incredible. Like, you can't beat international sporting events.
No, and I mean, the World Baseball Classic really has grown into something that was what I think all of us baseball fans hoped it could be.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
And a big part of that is obviously the participation of the players in it, right? Without Ohtani, without the guys you mentioned there, like without us having Alec Thomas on Team Mexico, without us having Merrill Kelly pitching for Team USA, that World Baseball Classic is not anywhere close to the level of exciting that it was. And now, obviously, they're talking about adding baseball and softball to the Olympics in 2000 when they come to Los Angeles in 2028. But like, what ball players are going to participate that in the middle of the baseball season? When
I'm kind of of the
of July, right?
Yeah,
no one, right?
I'm kind of the opinion that if you have another major international sporting event that represents your sport, it probably shouldn't be in the Olympics. Like, I know, like, soccer's in the Olympics.
Oh, you mean like World Baseball Classic existing and not having?
Yeah, so it's like that's the competition that people care about. So it's the same thing with soccer. It's like there's the World Cup. People care about the World Cup. Like, Olympic soccer is all U23. It kind of just feels like it's just it's there to be there. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily like the top level, upper echelon of the sport like the Olympics is supposed to represent,
Right.
So I kind of, part of me is like, if the World Baseball Classic is back and it's as electric as it was, I don't need it in the Olympics. But softball should be.
Yeah. And you know what else should be? Breakdancing in Los Angeles. How dare you take breakdancing away from us?
They took that from us.
Can you imagine how electric breakdancing would have been in Los Angeles? My God, come on.
That's
well, of course, we have to take a break really fast, but when we come back, we will talk about the power rankings for Major League Baseball, as well as that preview series for the upcoming 3-game series at Fenway Park with the Boston Red Sox. But first, got to check out Bet365. Of course, Bet365 has 90 million users worldwide. They live stream 780,000 events every year. And of course, they pioneered live in-game betting. You can get down on live in-game betting across 76 sports. Right now, new customers can choose between 2 offers when you open up a new account at Bet365. All you have to do is use that code of PHNX365, deposit $10, and choose either between a bet and get offer where you can place a $5 bet or more and get $150 in bonus bets, or a first bet safety net offer where you can place up to $1,000, and if your qualifying bet loses, you will receive a matched refund in bonus bets. With the Bet365 baseball early payout offer, you're a winner when the Diamondbacks go up by 5 runs or more, or whatever team you bet on. Don't bet on the Mariners, despite what Shane said. But don't. Yeah, he says
bet on
don't.
their
He
under.
just says don't. Bet on the under. Yeah, bet on the under.
Bet on their under, maybe.
Just don't bet on, period. Bet on. They'll always break your heart, basically.
They might disband the franchise.
That's what Shane wants you to know. But of course, if your team goes up by 5 runs ahead with it, you'll get an instant payout there, and that works for parlay and same game parlay selections, which will be marked as winners as well. So download the Bet365 app, use that code of PHNX365 when you sign up, choose your offer, and find out why it is never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or over and physically located in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, text NEXT STEP to 53342, or visit problemgambling.az.gov. Well, Jesse is not here, so you're forced to go on the boys' trip with me to Gila River. Yeah, I finally figured out a way to do it. This is the weekend. We've planned it out.
We got a trip to Gila River planned on was it next Thursday?
Oh yeah, that's right. That's a big trip to Gila River because we are doing our fantasy league.
I wish there was prop bets on this league, Shane, because I would bet on Derek to go do what Saul did and go first to worst. I think I would. Derek is going to have a diabolically bad season, I think.
Loser talk. This is loser talk. This is talk from losers in the loser bracket. I don't even understand loser talk. None of this stuff I can't even hear it. It's like a different language to me. But that's because I'm a winner, and that's why I hang out at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. And of course, you can do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Make sure to join us for our fantasy football draft. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. I might show up in a turtleneck and a suit. Who knows? I don't know. We'll see what kind of fit I show up in. But of course, we are going to be drafting our actual fantasy football teams. We're going to we have analysts.
Guys,
we have people breaking it down. It's going to be insane.
I need to just say that Derek is like the worst case scenario for who could have won in this league. Maybe outside of Saul, I will say.
He's right. He's not wrong.
Derek is just like the most like flaunt it in your face, like every time you say anything to him, point at the ring, do a discount double check with the belt. Yeah. Like it's gotten out of control.
Me and Saul are going to have a champions dinner. That's how good this is getting. But of course, you could have a champions dinner at Gila River Resorts and Casinos with their dining that ranges from upscale to approachable. You can check out their rooftop restaurant, Prime A Shula's Steakhouse, or grab a cocktail. And of course, do what I do. Get yourself as a winner with your championship belt on and your ring. Hang out by the pool. Get yourself a cocktail, specifically a pina colada with extra rum in it, and enjoy yourself. We will be hosting all sorts of events, including that fantasy football draft there. But you don't even have to wait for us. Just head to Gila River Resorts and Casinos, and let them show you what next level is all about. Again, you do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit play@gila.com for more details. And you're not wrong. I am the worst person that could have worn this.
No doubt.
It was.
I love that place though. It's such a nice casino.
Oh yeah, it really is. You had to tear us out of there when we have meetings and stuff there, which is not the best idea because then we're supposed to leave and go be productive.
And then I'm in Derek's ear, like just a devil on his shoulder. Hey, you want to put money on red?
Money on red. 100 on red right now. Look, it's due. It's due.
It is due. It was due.
It was due. It was due. He's not wrong. All right. Well, let's take a look. Speaking of what's due at the Major League Baseball Power Rankings for this week. Of course, I'm in charge of things, and you can all blame me for the Dodgers being up at the top there.
Everyone knew that you were in charge of things, Derek, when they saw this list because they know that I have more respect for myself than to put the Dodgers number one.
Yeah, no, I know. I get it. The Dodgers just don't stop winning baseball games. That's the problem. They do have the best record in baseball currently at 76-52 with a plus 111 run differential. And again, they've been good. The Diamondbacks have really struggled here with trying to figure out a way to make up any ground in the National League West between the Padres and the Dodgers, the way those teams have been playing. Of course, the Yankees still playing really good baseball. That Aaron Judge guy is having himself another really special season. He's at 74, or they are at 74-53 with a plus 119 run differential. Then everybody's kind of in the same spot from that point on. You have the Orioles at 3, the Arizona Diamondbacks still at 4, the Padres at 5, the Phillies at 6, the Brewers at 7, and the Guardians at 8. All of those teams are in the exact same spot that they were. The Astros, even though they had a good week, it's kind of hard keeping up with some of those other teams there. They dropped 2 spots. And then the Royals make their debut here. They finally blast past the Twins. The Royals are 7-3 in their last 10 games. They have the highest run differential in the AL Central at plus 110, and Bobby Witt Jr. is just an extraterrestrial.
Yeah, he's insane. Bobby. It's hard to even put into words how good Bobby Witt Jr. is. Playing shortstop at a high level, hitting the way that he's hitting. Mm-hmm. What is his average right now? It's something like absolutely insane. Let me see this here. Good audio, good podcasting. 352, Derek.
Yeah, I know.
How is that is nuts, dude. An OPS of 1,020 when you're a shortstop. That guy is so good. If he was in the NL, he's the runaway MVP. I would say. But unfortunately, he plays in the same league as Aaron Judge, who's putting up Barry Bonds numbers. But yeah, the Dodgers. I just have to go back to that real quick. After yesterday's bench clearing brawl, I just there should be an asterisk that says Ohtani for prison on the top of that.
Yeah, no, I know.
Power rankings.
Yeah, no, I figured I'm surprised you didn't say that earlier.
That's really what my mind goes to when I see this list.
We were going to have a Dodger as the picture to the right, and people are losing their minds that the Dodgers are on this list at all. Let alone if I would have used a picture there over to the right. People are somehow criticizing the fact that the teams are still in the same spot. They're saying I didn't do my homework. They are acting like I wasn't up at 6:30 in the goddamn morning today trying to research all of this for you monsters. Well, let me tell you, right now, there's a lot of parity in Major League Baseball. You have one team with 76 wins, two teams with 74 wins, actually three teams with 74 wins, bunch of teams with 73 wins, bunch of teams with 72 wins. Like, these teams are all very close. Right now, I think the Diamondbacks and the Padres probably would be actually a little lower, if not for the fact of how they've been playing lately. They've been playing better baseball than the teams with better records before.
It's a current power rankings. It's not It's not based off of the whole body of work on the entire season. But that begs the question: people are mad about the Guardians not moving down because they haven't been playing very good recently.
Well, the Guardians are still 73-53 and still lead their division. So what more do you want? Do you want them off the list when they still have like the fourth best record in baseball? They're eighth. I thought eighth was pretty fair, to be honest. I just don't know. Not a lot happened over the course of a week with a lot of these teams. There's a lot of teams with bad records right now. That divide that we talked about is getting wider and wider in the National League. This used to be a 12-team race there for the wild card spot, and now this is not the case.
Yeah, there was a time where only the Rockies were based in the Marlins.
The Rockies and the Marlins were the only two teams out of it, right? Literally every other team in the National League was in it. And then it's hard to compare, with what the AL is doing to the National League. There's a lot of good AL teams that have a better record that honestly they're third in their division. So what do you want to do? And the Astros, they have 68 wins. They are the only team on this entire list with less than 70 wins, but they have been playing really good baseball. They are 7-3 in their last 10, and they have a 5-game lead now in the AL West.
They're really good. And
this is what they do at this time of the year.
If I'm in the American League and I see the Astros on my side, like I'm matched up with them, I'm like, guys, should we lose games to get out of this spot? That's the last team I want to play. Yeah. Everyone knows they're going to the ALCS, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who they play. They will be in the ALCS.
It's kind of disgusting, right?
They're so good.
Well, and that's the thing is, at least in the National League, the last few playoffs, the last few postseasons have given us hope, right? You have both the Phillies and the Diamondbacks making it all the way to the World Series from the final wild card spot. Mm-hmm. You had the big dogs in the division that had substantially better records than everybody else getting knocked off, fairly easily, right? So it does inspire hope, and it inspires the idea here that this, these playoffs, anything can happen. Of course, it infuriates some people, and it does kind of make the 162 game season meaningless. Again, that's why when we talk about these teams having, like the Diamondbacks having 4 more games against the Dodgers, that's awesome. That gives them a legitimate chance at the National League West, or at least at catching up with the Dodgers if they can really put it to them in those 4 games. But in a normal season, years and years ago, when I didn't have this much gray in my beard, baseball teams, Diamondbacks probably would have had 16 games left against the Dodgers with this point of the fucking schedule left, right?
Yeah, or the Padres.
And the Padres, yeah. Right. So it's one of those things where you used to play your own division so much more that if you were down, you could come back. If you were up, you could really widen that divide between you and the teams below you because you played so frequently, right? So this is one of those cases where, now what we have is, the Diamondbacks going into the playoffs some way, somehow. And of course, we've already seen what they can do. So let's just get in. Right?
ESPN made a power rankings, Derek, that they released earlier this morning, and they moved the Diamondbacks down 2 spots.
Right.
Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy. It is crazy.
And they moved the Padres specifically above the Diamondbacks. Well, I don't know. I mean, I maybe I need a standings check, but I'm pretty sure
they're tied.
Pretty sure we're tied, and technically we have the tiebreaker.
Right.
Oh, there it is. Interesting.
That's kind of how we see things. There is 72 and 56.
That's funny, and
that's the way MLB.com has it, right? But hey, what do we know, right? I will say in regards to the Diamondbacks, Ryan says it right there. They probably freaked over the Rays sweep, and if historically how bad the Diamondbacks actually are against the Rays at the Trop, then that would be a little bit more.
Haven't we won 3 games ever there or something
4.
like that? That's
4
so
in
crazy.
Franchise history. They've won 4 games
crazy.
at the Trop. Yeah. And they haven't played that many, though.
No.
Jesse will be the first to point that out,
sure.
Right? But still, it's 14 games, and they've only won 4 there. So not great. In regards to everything else, though, I don't know. I mean, right now, the Diamondback, the power rankings that we do are meaningless. The standings right now are still somewhat meaningless until we get to the last 2 weeks of the season. There's really no reason to do anything but keep your head down and try to win as many baseball games no matter who's ahead of you. And right now the Diamondbacks have the Boston Red Sox.
It's about us.
It's about us.
It's not about everybody else.
Who they have
it's
ahead
about us.
of them, right?
Yeah.
Who they have ahead of them, right? Yeah. Well, of course, we thank you guys for being here in the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. Make sure to smash that like button because Ryan and somebody, probably Corbin Barrels, hit the thumb down button, but everybody else can hit the like button. And I do not love the Dodgers. You guys are absolute monsters.
He does.
Make sure you also subscribe to this channel if you don't do so already. Sign up for notifications like you don't miss whenever our shows go live. And of course, leave us on the audio podcasting side a review. Make sure you're subscribed on your favorite audio podcast as well. We are going to talk about that Boston Red Sox series here in a minute, of course, but we do have to take a break. We do have to tell you about Desert Financial Credit Union. Of course, they always keep our numbers straight on this show. They help us out with everything we got going on here. And of course, for more than 84 years, Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union, dedicating to creating exceptional experiences by giving back to the community and providing financial solutions that make lives better. They got me started on my home ownership journey. Hopefully they can get you started as well. They have a wonderful group of trusted professionals over there that will have your best interests in mind and help you achieve your financial goals. So check out Desert Financial Credit Union. Right now, when you sign up for a free checking account online, you can get $200 in bonuses. Get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200 right now. Talked earlier about Jesse not drinking enough water because I know he's not. He's hiking through Banff right now is where he is.
Yeah.
I'm doxing you guys a lot today. I'm telling everybody's personal information, but I feel
you didn't dox me with my last name, Derek. It's public information.
It's so weird that I just said it, that we said it out loud on this show. But I'll say this, that Jesse probably could use a Rugged Road cooler right now because
just lugging it up the mountain.
You say lugging it like you sound like it's like too heavy, but that's the great thing about Rugged Road. It's super lightweight.
Probably has, yeah.
Unlike those heavy duty coolers, Rugged Road coolers are incredibly light, making them easy to transport on any trip without compromising your performance or without worrying about how much you can take with you. They also float, which is amazing. And of course, I'm really not a hiker like Mr. Friedman is. I'm more of a go hang out in the beach. Maybe in the water, maybe take a little river dip, maybe a lake dip, and I need a cooler that's just going to hang out with me. I have a dog that hangs out with me. It's the greatest thing ever, but a cooler that also floated and just hung out to me next to me would be best. Durability and dependability. Rugged Road is crafted to handle the toughest environment. So, of course, you can take them everywhere you go, and they will hold up. Get ready for all of your adventures right now with Rugged Road coolers. Head to ruggedroadoutdoors.com and use that code of PHNX for 10% off your order. Lightweight, durable, and always floating upright. Perfect on land or in water. So leave that old heavy cooler at home and get yourself a better cooler for the new season. Rugged Road, your ultimate outdoor companion. I know.
I went on their website.
He's already buying a hat.
Their hats are sick.
Their hats are sick. Yeah.
I need one of these hats.
Right up Damon's road.
Oh my God.
Also, tailgating season is right around the corner. And you don't necessarily need this versatile of a cooler for tailgating, but why not? Get yourself a great cooler that you can take everywhere with you over at Rugged Road.
Shane and I are going to get a Rugged Road cooler and hit the Salt River.
It's never going to happen.
He just said it's never going to happen, but we're going to make it happen.
Do you see how he always leaves me out of every trip?
Oh yeah, you're not invited.
Like, it's just absolutely.
I'll hit up Jesse
garbage.
though and see if he wants to go.
God, why this is your day off. Why did I even ask you to be in here?
Shane became my boss and now he doesn't want to be my friend anymore.
Yeah, it's weird.
Isn't that sad?
It's a weird relationship, but I think it's for the best, to be honest. I actually, I agree with Shane on that one, but I tried to not be your friend, right? And then you just made me, but then it's like a weird gaslighting situation where you just don't let me go on the boys' trips with you. Speaking of which, the Diamondbacks are on the road. They're taking a road trip up to Boston, shipping up to Boston. Let's take a look at the Red Sox at a glance this season. They have a record of 67-50 with a plus 28 run differential. They are 4-6 in their last 10 games. Right now, they have a starting pitching ERA of 3.96, which is tied for 11th in Major League Baseball. A 4.39 relief pitching ERA, which is good for Diamondbacks. It's 27th, not 37th, because I'm pretty sure there's not that many teams. But that's just a mistake.
Wow, they stink.
Sometimes. They really stink. They're below some of the AAA teams. OPS, though, is incredibly good for the Boston Red Sox at 768. They are third in the bigs. And then their outs above average defense, not great, minus 19 for 25th. So they're kind of all over the place. But, of course, the OPS there the big concern, because this team is very good offensively, and the Diamondbacks are going to need to be very good offensively.
Yeah, this is. I mean, clearly their offense is pretty good. 768 OPS as a team is no joke.
That tracks.
Yeah,
that's
really solid. It might be another series where we're gonna have to attack their relief pitching.
Yeah, I think that's exactly.
And the Diamondbacks have been really good at that recently.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean, that I feel like that bodes well for this team. They match up well with teams, especially this second half of the season whose bullpens struggle, like the Pirates, for example. The Pirates, right? They had a great starting pitching staff, and then the Diamondbacks would go out there and attack the bullpen when they'd go up against them. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see that matchup and see if that late inning heroics from this team continues.
Yeah, and I'll tell you also, the Diamondbacks match up pretty well on paper as far as the probable pitchers are concerned. Let's take a look at that. Do we have the probable pitchers? All right. No problem.
Here we go. We got a super chat here.
Yeah, it's just a constant test in.
I'll read this one.
Who's going to flinch first?
I'll read this one. Yeah.
All right, go.
Be calm, see clearly. $2 super chat says Jordan has the flattest booty on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Clock it.
Yeah, that's actually the most mild one I think we've gotten from See Calm, Be Clear, or Be Calm.
I feel comfortable saying that one.
Yeah.
That's yesterday's. I definitely didn't feel comfortable with those, but today,
this one you'll handle.
I'm man enough to say this one, and you're right, Jordan Montgomery. I mean, it's sad.
Yeah,
I think that's Be Calm, See Clearly measures the players on the team based off of
booty.
Yeah. How attractive they are.
No, yeah, I mean, that's right. Yeah, a flat booty is nothing to mess with. But of course, we do have the starting. We do have the starting problem
because we read this one.
Yeah,
Be Calm, See Clearly is definitely going to send in a really Ryan says, a more R-rated one next time. There's no doubt about that.
That's inevitable. But let's take a look at these probable pitchers for this series. I will say this: that a lot of the Red Sox pitchers' names sound like they could also be Star Wars characters. Brian Bella.
Yeah, that's a Star Wars character.
That's a Star Wars character, right? Tanner Hoke. Tanner, is it who?
That one's borderline. One's borderline, but the first one for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the first name Cutter.
Yeah, Cutter with a K is crazy.
That is crazy.
Cutter Crawford.
Cutter Crawford is fire.
He spells it with a K, and his last name starts with C. It's insanity.
I think if Cutter Crawford, if the C in Crawford was also a K,
my God,
that's a Star Wars name. There's no question about that.
That's elite. But of course, we are butchering names, and which names did we butcher? I don't know which ones we butchered because we don't know these players' names. But we got Ryne Nelson here going in game 1, Zach Gallen in game 2, and Merrill Kelly in game 3. Obviously, this is a big series for the Diamondbacks here as far as starting pitching goes. I mean, everything is lining up really well. You got essentially your two aces, the two guys you would want out there the most, and then you have Ryne Nelson, who has been quite possibly, not even quite possibly, factually, the best pitcher on this team over the last month. Yeah,
I think since the All-Star break, basically, Ryne Nelson's been money. But I like this pitching matchup, honestly. I know Gallen hasn't looked great. Merrill struggled in his last start, but he was decent before that. This is a 3 matchups that I think that the Diamondbacks get the better end of here. And they need Zach Gallen to obviously pick it up. So it'll be interesting to see.
Gabriel Ferrer says Jarren Duran hates how connected this team is. I've never seen any. I don't like the idea now that people can do something like say a slur and then get huge amounts of support. I'll say that. I'm okay with saying that. I think that's a pretty gross part of things. Even if you make a mistake, it's okay to make a mistake. And honestly, it's okay to support someone that makes a mistake. I don't have a problem with that. What I do have a problem with is being no, we're going to go out and make his jersey the number 1 selling jersey on MLB.
Well, it's like the Josh Hader situation, right?
Yeah,
when people found his old tweets
Harrison Butker.
And then the fans in Milwaukee were
yeah, it's true. It's true. Sometimes life kind of sucks, but life does not suck if you're an Arizona Diamondback fan right now, because this team is hot. And of course they have this big series. I mean, it's the Boston Red Sox, right? This isn't the Marlins or, the Rays, who did what they did to this team. But this is definitely a team that the Diamondbacks can make a statement here against and finish this road trip off strong. If they can win the series, this road trip ends 5-4, and it doesn't look nearly as bad as it started.
You're right, Derek. We are playing the Boston Red Sox. And that begs the question. Who is Sean Hollywood DePaz rooting for? Everybody's wondering.
Fine question. It's an absolutely fine question.
The guy moved to Boston.
Right.
He was originally a Red Sox fan his whole life. And then Derek, what did he always used to tell us once he moved out here and was working at this company? I'm a D-backs guy. This is my team. Yep. The Red Sox are on the back burner.
The only thing he held on to was his hatred for the Yankees, according to his self-profession.
So let's see it. Let's see. I want to see it this week, like in this series. I want full body paint. I want like one of those rattles that sounds like a maraca. Like I want Sean to go all out. Do you have what it takes, Sean? I don't know. We'll see.
Can he find 4 other friends that are also Diamondbacks fans to like paint wagon on their chest and go shirtless out there?
I said it right when he was moving. He was going to turn his back on us. There's no question in my mind. I mean, Corbin Barrel's, I think, Sean Stan.
I think that's Sean.
It could be. But Sean would have a Red Sox name as his YouTube thing. The guy's a Sox guy. He's not a Snakes guy. Yeah. He turned his back on us. There's no question about it. And he's going to prove that this weekend.
Well, we'll see. Where do your devotions lie, Mr. Electric Sean DePaz? Huh? Are they with this team that's headed to the fucking Yoffs? Are you with a wagon? Are you still on the wagon?
It's the Yoffs, Sean.
I feel like when I say on the wagon, that's like not probably the way to phrase it. Is that right? That's probably not. Are you a part of the wagon? Are you hopping? No, it's still, I was going to say hopping on the wagon. See. BCom, see clearly.
That's on you.
I'll read this one this time. He said, "My love for Bubble Cheeks is undeniable. Go D-backs." You guys can clip that one, by the way, because that may not be true for me as a person. But of course, we love you guys. We thank you so much for your comments. We thank you so much for being here today. Make sure to follow us on Twitter. I'm at cap_caveman with a K.
It's a good one, Josh.
This maniac next to me is at Damon Dog. That's DAWG. And we are Damon's dogs. Bark, bark.
Ruff, ruff.
Yeah, you're not supposed to say it. You're not your own dog. Of course, follow. Is it Kevin Thomas Wrights?
It's just Kev Tom. So
Kev Tom.
KEVTHOM.
There you go. Follow our guy over there, as well as follow our show at PHNX_D-backs. But of course, all roads lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We appreciate you guys stopping by. We thank you so much for your time. We will see you tomorrow. We have another post-game show left this week after that first game with the Boston Red Sox. So come back here after the game. Until then, have a wonderful evening. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when you don't have a flat booty.
We all silly like the mayor.